Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi everyone, this is Nicole Rivera and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hey, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. This is yet again another weird week, and for me personally, it's been a huge struggle. I think I've mentioned before in this podcast that one of my greatest inspirations for becoming a writer, or at least incorporating writing into my life as a whole, was at a very young age when I read The Diary of Anne Frank. When I read this book and put together that this was just a girl writing in a notebook about her day-to-day, and it was something that lived on beyond her and told her story, and it was a story that we all needed to know. The power of the written word was just, not lost on me at all. And from that point forward, that's when I started writing in diaries and jotting down my ordinary, because from my eyes, it was like, of course, to a certain extent, everybody knew that they were living in extraordinary times when Anne was hiding away with her family. But on another end, it was a girl just writing down her day-to-day. And I would always think, I have to write down my day-to-day because I don't know what will be important to some future reader someday. And I never published my diaries or anything, but I always thought someday somebody's going to find this notebook that I hide under my bed. When they dig out my house, some archaeologist, and they'll say, well, now we know what was going on in the 1980s. Now we know what was going on in the 1990s in this part of the world. So yeah, grandiose ideas of my written word becoming some piece in history. But again, that is what brought me originally to the page, to writing things down. And eventually that I, started to fall in love with story and wasn't so infatuated with always writing down the truth, but then now fabricating stories and writing for pleasure became step 2. And so here I sit, just like Anne, hiding away and unable to deny the fact that the time and space that I'm living in is important in a global sense. This is the stuff that I should be writing. This is the stuff I should be documenting if I want to make Anne Frank proud. And this is the one time in my life where I am struggling to do so. I actually wrote a blog post on my personal blog earlier this week called Apologies to Anne, because I cannot believe that I'm struggling so much to do the thing that fills me up. And I find that as I go out into social media and I'm watching the news and I'm looking around the community, I'm seeing that there are there's probably many, many more, but generally speaking, I'm seeing 2 different groups of people, or 2 different reactions, creatively speaking, to what's going on. There's the group of people that are saying, I want to step forth and start doing my art more passionately more regularly now that work is out of the way. I want to dive in deep, especially, maybe with this impending thoughts of mortality and things of that nature, or I want to show up for people and share my art. So many like lives, Instagram lives, Facebook lives, people just showing up and creating and being so brave, and it's wonderful and I love it. And I really thought that I'd be that person. But then there's this other faction of us that are stuck in pause for some reason. Now for me, I know what it is. It's, there's a lot going on the home front now, where when my husband and my son were off to school, there was a lot of this quiet space to think and dream and create and, just recenter myself. And I'm missing that. And so it occurred to me today, I talk a lot about perfectionism and doing it messy and letting go of that perfectionism in order to get things done, in order to show up in the world. And I feel that it's something I'm good at. I'm good at showing up messy. I've done it through this podcast from the beginning when, all the various weird recordings and sounds and things. But I said I have to have a podcast. So I'm just going to do it messy, and that's going to be great. And I'm comfortable with that. But what has occurred to me in this past week, 2 weeks, is that I am still clinging to a different kind of perfectionism, or that my perfectionism is in a different realm. It's not in perfectionism of the product. Like, I am okay, which is maybe backwards. I am okay if the final product is not pristine and perfect and everything. And I'm unapologetic about the fact that I will show up the way that makes sense for me at this time. And that might not be the best. But where I still falter is in my process. My process has to be a certain way, or I get this block where I can't create. So this week has been an extraordinary challenge of seemingly impossible scenarios for me. In my mind, I keep saying, I cannot create under these circumstances. What are these circumstances? People. There's people around me, and there's busyness going on. Right now, my son is in the bathtub, and my husband is playing a very loud video game. And I have snuck away to a back room. And I need this quiet space. Of course, I'm recording. I need to have quiet for recording. But it also feels like I needed this getaway, quote unquote getaway, in order just to get my head straight to create anything. And I'm trying to decide if I need to just get over it and find a way to create within the noise, or if it is my job to create the getaway. So I want to say it's my job to create the getaway, but I can't decide if that's me still saying it is impossible for me to create unless I have the quiet, and I'm clinging to some perfect vision of what creation is. However, I have to say that through this whole journey and this guilt that I have felt, this apology to Anne Frank and all of this that I've carried, that I haven't been able to do anything, I was just given such a huge virtual hug by one of my favorite authors, and that's Jason Reynolds, who has written so many incredible books: A Long Way Down, Ghost. I will put a link in the bio to his website and everything. He has a new book that's out right now, all about talking about race relations to teens now. He's a fantastic middle grade and a YA author. So he came on and did an Instagram live this week, maybe Tuesday night. And Tuesday was a bad day for me. It was just like a lot. I think I was reaching my peak of patience with all things and my inability to create. And he said that people have been coming to him because he's a big name. He's like a voice of libraries, and people are just always looking for his input on things. He's a cool young guy, but also a great literary voice. I mean, he's just amazing. If you don't know him, you need to get to know him. So what did Jason Reynolds offer me this week? Permission to be quiet. Permission to not be writing and not feel guilty about it. He showed up on his live and he said, everybody's saying, are you going to say anything? Are you going to talk about anything? And he said, to be honest with you, I'm spending time with my family. I'm processing myself and I'm just dealing. And that's a lot. And it was the first creative that I heard say what I'm feeling. And I know that it's because the other creatives that are feeling like I'm feeling and like Jason is feeling, we are all processing. So we're not out there saying it. So I knew I had to show up for this week's episode and not just leave you guys in the lurch. But that is why I am like dribbing and drabbing on social media. If you've been following, I've been trying to show up, but it has been a struggle. My son has been sick since right before this became a very big deal, and it's not that he has the virus, but that has been very much on my mind, that I'm just trying to get him better without the assistance of getting in and out of a doctor the way I normally would, and then just the same thing that everybody else is dealing with, the working at home, the homeschooling. My brain is split in 1,000 different directions, and I want to show up fully for everybody, even though I'm cool with the messy action. I still feel, I don't want to say uninspired. I'm very much, my mind is going a mile a minute with like ideas and thoughts and things, but it still takes so much of me just to keep moving forward with the reality of the situation. And of course, I don't think I need to remind you guys, I'm in New York. I'm in New York City, and the numbers here are staggering. The growth of the disease is, it's exponential. That's how exponential growth works. And as a former math major, I just knew when they said it's exponential growth that we were in for big numbers, but I kind of hoped more people would understand the gravity of that situation and stay home and do what needed to be done to sort of help out. And it's just not happening, and it's just frustrating. But that's not really relevant to this conversation, except to say that, I've heard people say overwhelm is a choice, and I have tried to remind myself that this week. Every time I start to feel a little something like overwhelmed, say it's a choice and I don't have to choose to be overwhelmed. And I focus on the right here and the right now whenever I feel like I am worrying about what's coming next and, where are we going to be next week? And I pull it in. And I've been giving this advice to a lot of people. Just pull it in, rein it in. Where are you right now? What can you be grateful for right now? And that is incredibly helpful. But I suppose this episode is really for any creatives out there that are feeling like me right now, where it's just you need a minute. And that's it. I just need a minute to sort of stop, gather myself, reassess, and take a step forward. With that said, this weekend was my regularly scheduled Staten Island writers group, which was supposed to meet. We meet in person. And I've changed that to an online virtual meeting, which everyone's invited to. So I will be sharing the links for the Zoom call on the show notes and also in the Facebook group. So that'll be Sunday afternoon, the 29th. We will have a writing prompt meeting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And that could be fun because I'm looking forward to seeing my regular writing group people, but if anybody wants to join in, that could be fun as well. And before that, speaking to my need for a pause, it couldn't be better timed that this weekend is also Earth Hour. So Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. your time zone. The whole premise of Earth Hour is that you unplug for 1 hour, shut off the lights, shut off your tech, and just give the earth a rest. And I can't think of a better time to give Mother Earth exactly that. And when I first discussed this on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, I did tell you about the link on the Earth Hour website where they are looking for people to share their stories of their either connection with nature or what they're doing to give back to nature. So that is what I will be doing during that hour, is writing my story, and when the hour's up, going to the website and sharing it. So if you want to join me in that, that is just one idea of what you can do. I've often done candlelight writing or candlelight reading or just taking a walk in the neighborhood, just to be in nature during that hour. Aside from that, this is our last episode of March. April is coming, and with April comes plenty of creative challenges, and I will be hosting the Happy Campers Club all month in April, where I will be showing up every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, to get our community working together to motivate each other through whichever creative challenge we are choosing to do for the month of April. That is one thing that I am also taking a moment to stop and plan in my quiet time that I find here, because I know that it is going to be an extra challenge to work through the month now that the world has sort of changed. But I'm hoping that it creates some opportunities for other people who maybe might have some more time now in April that they didn't before this crisis. It's just a really, really interesting time to see how some people can take this chance to do things they've only dreamed about. And I'm really, really excited for everyone in that boat. And I'm also really, really excited to support anybody who is feeling the weight of this shift. There's just, there's so many different things to talk about. So if you're interested in joining the Happy Campers Club, the regular price is $50, but with this crisis going on, I just really wanted to make it available to everybody, just because I know so many people may be out of work or working less hours. So I just brought it back down to $30. So it's $1 a day for the entire month of April. And I hope to see you there. Otherwise, we have the writing group on Sunday, which should be a lot of fun. and open to everybody. And that's, just our regular monthly meeting, an hour and a half of writing prompts and sharing our stories. If you do come and write, do be ready to read, because that is what we do. Otherwise, for now, I'm going to head back to the family, and I want to just say thank you so much for listening this week, for showing up, and I hope all is well with you. And if you are in any place that is being affected by the coronavirus, please do what you can to flatten your curve. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page, or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter, where I'm at NV_Rivera, to find links to our email newsletter.